Welcome to Biggest Geekus. We're your hosts. I'm Randy.
And I'm Joe.
This is episode 69 of our podcast. Today is Tuesday, January 4th, and I got a big old cat in front of my face.
Meow.
2022. Happy New Year, my brother.
Happy New Year. And we're going to have that. Subscribe to Cat.
Do it.
It's a cat video now. It's official.
Yeah.
We should get a whole flood of subscriptions just because of that.
Because of a sweet little cat named Pippin. She's probably not done yet.
Probably not.
Oh, so anything cool in the mail?
No, but we did play.
Oh, yeah, baby. Almost forgot about that.
How can you forget about that? What's wrong with you?
I don't know. I'm crazy. So I kind of did a little open-ended action, brought in a little Happy New Year to everybody, brought in a little Temple of Elemental Evil to the tabletop, and looks like folks are coming in now. And it was really, I loved it, man. It was neat, kind of going old school. I wish we could have got a little more action in, but we got into role playing, and Joe noticed that almost everybody in town wanted to join the adventuring group.
Yeah, they did.
That was pretty cool.
And yes, Happy New Year. This is our first episode of the year.
Yeah, I wonder if this should this be season 3 technically?
It's all one big season.
I know. We're like one big happy season. But yeah, so I had 6 players. We started at 2. We technically started at 2. We didn't get started until almost 5. We hadn't seen each other for so long. We need to play every week. That'll fix it. So,
well, there were also some telephone interruptions because it was the new year and people, were getting called because it was New Year.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Well,
what can you do?
We basically had 3rd level mud sword characters, and you got to get to the moat house part of the temple. Got started. I've changed that around dramatically, but that fight with those elves was pretty tough. It was a pretty cool fight, though. You guys had them on the ropes initially, and then things went a little south, and you recovered.
Well, that's the thing about die rolls in the game. Sometimes they go your way, sometimes they go not your way, and it went back and forth.
Yeah, my back-to-back crits were not popular when I popped 2 of the characters. Like went right in a row, crit. I was like, oh boy. So there's my cat again. So you don't just get a stick. You don't get to stick your butt in front of them.
And since we gave the elves a saving throw against sleep, a lot of them saved. You were rolling really high.
I know, it was crazy. You only put like 3 of them down, I think, and you could have gotten like 8.
And 2 of them got woke back up.
Yeah, immediately. Well, good for the goose, good for the gander, baby.
Yeah. It's not always, I knew there were elves. I kind of forgot, but I was just trying to see how I could soften up the group. I guess putting a few of them down first did leave. We had fewer targets for our party to go after initially.
Yeah,
so
true.
And we had of use.
Yeah, and we had you had an equivalent of an attack of opportunity where you were casting a spell. You had to make a check, and you failed.
Which I failed, yeah.
But you didn't lose your spell, which was cool.
Yeah,
but it just screw your turn up, and I'm feeling like that's a good choice.
Mm-hmm.
I thought combat was pretty good. I thought it was really flowed pretty smoothly. I got to keep remembering to do ask for actions first. It's been so long since I've done that. So
yeah, we forgot about that.
But it came back. We got the hang of it, and I don't know. I'm liking the card initiative. I just, for some reason, I can track it better, even though I want to skip Jeff's turn every time.
Yes, you do. He has a space that's skippable.
I do that all the
time.
What
it is?
What game I play, for some reason, I do not want Jeff to take his turn. Maybe secretly I'm afraid of Jeff.
Yes, you're afraid.
Very
afraid.
My adventure. So, yeah. So Jeff is a buddy of ours, but anyway. So no call-ins, no emails, nothing.
Nope.
Okay. So I think I'm going to jump right into my rant today. So our buddy, our homeboy Patrick, posted something on Facebook about an hour ago, and which gave me the heads up on it. There was an article on Bounding into Comics in January 2nd, just a couple of days ago, about a comic book where, oh, look at that. We got our boy Tim's in. Tim Scott in the house.
Tim.
But we this art it's all I can do not to raise a crazy person here. God, this pisses me off to no end. So they had Superman recall something that happened in the 70s. There was a Soviet Union, Lubania or whatever, where Superman got a sucker plate in to save a train. Yeah, there you go. That's the article. And there was a train of people. And this general guy, Kolosov, whatever his name was, used some kind of radio wave form of kryptonite and weakened him, captured him. Batman came to save him. They captured Batman. They had him in a prison camp in the Soviet Union of Lubania or whatever it was. And so Batman, they go on to explain this new writer, John Ridley, who wrote 12 Days as a Slave. This idiot had Superman. They went into great detail about how Superman was tortured for 8 months, and that he was, how did they phrase it, Joe? He was violated, and Superman couldn't describe the violation, but he was down on his knees in this one picture, and he's half naked, and their implication is he was basically raped or sodomized with tools.
I wonder, this particular article may not have that.
Oh, imagery. It does. That's the old comic.
This is the old comic so far. Oh, there we go. There we go.
Oh, they absolutely do. You're showing it 100%. Everybody should check this out. Joe will supply the link. And Legion of Myth there, I guess as Max said, he doesn't even do comics. Shake Your Head is ridiculous. This is just I'm not a big fan of who's the guy that did the video, Doomcock. I don't dislike him. I just don't follow him. But he had some righteous anger, and I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I hate that phrase. It's the truth. This is utter and complete hatred of any kind of traditional values, quote unquote, the American way, which they booted off, which, by the way, I read an article that Joel Shuster in an interview did say, how a lot of folks were saying it wasn't always truth, justice, the American way. It wasn't always meant to be that. In an interview, he actually said that's exactly what Superman represented. Was truth, justice, the American way. So it's
I don't think red, white, and blue was random.
No, not at all. And I didn't have much respect for comics anyway. And it's apparently a dying art. I just can't, I will not buy a comic probably post 2000. I'm not going to buy comics anymore, probably at all. Not from Marvel and DC. I am done with them. I'm sorry I saw No Way Home with Spider-Man, even though I did like it. I'm not giving Marvel or DC another penny. I can't see myself ever watching them again. That doesn't mean that someone couldn't possibly come back and save them someday and could draw me back. But right now, I don't envision myself watching any of that crap ever. Got no use for any of all the deconstruction they love to do. And one of those, if you keep scrolling, one of them shows Superman. He goes back to interview this guy who is now a businessman. That's the same general guy. And Superman fantasizes, like, I hope he's very non-recalcitrant and not sorry. And then I'll just shoot him through the chest with my laser eyes. Go ahead and scroll down. You'll see it. They show that panel. There it is. It's where he's dreaming about that. He didn't do that. And this Ridley butthole, he's like, well, hold on, I'm going to read it. I'm going to read what he says.
Oh, is it above or below?
It's a commentary on how in America, when bad things happen to people who are traditionally marginalized, there's this feeling of, oh, let's just move on. Superman is not a marginalized person, first of all, dipshit.
No, that's Superman right there.
Right, he's not marginalized.
He's an idealized man.
No, but they're saying that it's because all those people that have had all these bad things happen to them. And I don't care. You're full of crap. You're just pooping on anything that really matters, good, wholesome stuff. And I'm sorry, comic books don't need to have that kind of craziness in them. I mean, not kids.
Right. As far as the moving on point, that's actually what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to relive it in your mind all the time if you can at all help it.
No, we have to hold hands. He made a comment. You should read that article. He's talking about January 6th, which, by the way, screw yourself. That's not a thing. That wasn't a thing. It was not a thing. I don't care about it. January 6th was a joke.
Yeah,
Look,
really
the summer of 2020, the summer burned down every city. Yeah, I've got no use for those progressive. They can keep everything they want. They want to tear down comics, go ahead. I've got my comics and they can't have them. And
get manga. Actually, they have stories, and they're outdoing DC and Marvel. I think.
I know. Oh, they're kicking the living crap out of them. Last check I saw, Batman was number 20. No, 1 through 19 was manga titles.
Yeah, Indigo Dragon here. I'm going to stop sharing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It was more of a Sony movie than a Marvel or Disney movie. Yeah, but it still feeds the same monster.
I agree, Indigo Dragon, and I went to see it, and it was good. I would say it's good. I think if Joe hadn't already got off the train, he would have gone to see it and said that was a pretty fun movie. They do a good job with
Mary Jane. MJ is Mary Jane.
Well, they cover it in one sense. They got the alternate universe crap, which I know you hate that. But I mean,
so when the new Star Trek movies came out years ago, they did a similar thing with a divergent timeline that Spock was the lone person from the regular.
Joe's ISP dominating.
Right. So he came back from, he came across the time, he went back in time and created a new timeline. And that's how we have a new Star Trek timeline. And my wife was like, well, that's dumb. And at the time I was like, that's how they have another movie with different people, blah, 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 blah. I just glossed over it. But that's essentially what they do with all of this. They create alternate timelines or some other thing, different dimension, just a new storyline that may be self-contained. But I think what they're trying to do is see what sticks. So this could end up being the current Miles Morales.
Oh, that was mentioned. There was a comment.
Yeah, that could be just the new. I mean, Spider-Man, but Spider-Man is Peter Parker. It's not a mantle. They want to make everything a mantle. Spider-Man's a mantle. Batman's a mantle. Superman's a mantle. It's not a mantle.
Oh, Max is correcting us. Manga. Yeah, I've heard that pronunciation before. His wife would like that corrected. Is she of Japanese descent? I think she's Asian. She's Asian for sure. So
yeah.
She's probably read more of that. I should try it, I guess. I'm going to try it. I'm going to try manga. I hate, I've talked about how I don't like anime. I probably won't like manga any better, will I? What do you think?
Well, who knows? As far as the printed medium, it'll be annoying because you got to read it from the back.
Okay.
For some weird reason.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, if your wife comes in here and says something, then we have a mod that can boot her out.
Hey, I'll take her word for it. I don't know how it's pronounced.
It probably is manga instead of manga.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure she knows it. Manga is anime on paper. Oh, okay. Cool. So I'll probably hate it. No offense. Whoever likes it, but it's never been for me.
Right.
I'll get, you know what, though? Heck, at least if they're telling good stories and they're not shoving their political stupid view down my throat, I wouldn't feel bad. I went to my local comic shop again recently, and I just went straight to the independent stuff. I can't even look at the Marvel and DC racks. So she yells at him, never one wins except him.
Well, that's fair. That's fair then. That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
It's really fair.
But anyway, you check out our links. We got the link to Doomcock's video where he rages, and then the article. And there's plenty of articles, I'm sure, that will defend him. But I just had this John Redley. He can go jump in the lake, dude. And DC too. Marvel, they can all suck it. I got no use for them.
It's going to get translated into sales. As long as they do this nonsense, manga will do better, most likely. And it's the American comic book form that's at stake, not comics in general. But in America, that's what we have, except for mangas coming over here and making waves. But I don't know if he can save the American comic book form all by himself.
Who's that?
But Eric July has got a comic coming out. It's done. He said it's pretty much done. He just has to get the printing of it squared away. There's some sort of paper shortage, and he's trying to decide how it's going to proceed from.
Oh, sure. Paper shortage for him, I'm sure.
Right. Well, all the toilet paper. I mean,
yeah, people.
The last couple of years.
Get a bidet. They're cheap.
Or a benite, whichever.
Yeah, one. But so this article, which is interesting, I think the guy is pretty balanced. I get the feeling the writer of the article is not much of a fan of this, but he's not blasting at all, the writer. And then at the end, he goes, if you have any comments, do at the bottom. Every single comment I read today was negative.
Right. Well, this is bounding into comics. If you're going to get anything that's reasonably written about geek culture, specifically comics, but I think they touch on other areas.
Yeah.
Go there because they're not
some of the others.
Yeah, they're not going to have pronouns in their bios.
No. Oh, but I did get the email today from my work that we should. This is just one of my colleagues thinks we need to be really careful and we should do that. Watch for that. Refer to students properly. I will. I've got a proper way to refer to people. Huh. There is a toilet paper shortage. Okay. Backyard hose works just as well. Hungry Ewok. That's what I'm talking about. Be brave. So what if it's 20 degrees here in Michigan? Go outside.
Yeah. Go outside, clean it up. All right.
I think I'm done with that rant.
Well, yes, we're done with the rant. We're done with DC and Marvel. Yep. And look, I like Marvel. I like Marvel characters.
Yep.
I bought this T-shirt, or maybe my wife bought it for me. I think that's the case. A few years ago. But I'm not going to buy anything else that has the Marvel label on it.
No.
That's for sure.
No interest.
All right. So.
Yeah, the Session Zero thing, I'll be honest with you, I did not read that. So that was something Silent Judge gave me. I don't know if you have some comments on it.
I have looked at it.
Yes.
And when I scrolled through it, I was skimming, and then they talked about using safety tools in eye closure. Not as
Mr. Max Boylan. I'm sorry, dude.
Let the hate flow through you.
I'm not apologizing. I'm not apologizing to DC or Marvel or anybody out there that's super woke left. I got no interest. Don't care. Tired of your crap. You do you. I'm not buying.
Yeah. I'm not going to financially support. I mean, They're not going to miss my money.
No. That's all right.
But, yeah.
10 years ago, they would have. They'd have really missed my money.
Oh, yeah, because you were deep into it.
I was deep into it. Yep. Oh, 6 out of 10. I got to work on it. I'll keep working, Indigo Dragon. I'll keep working.
Yeah.
All right. So, your thoughts. So, basically, when you started, you sure it gives you focus. I will. Okay. So, what do you so nothing really interesting in that? I didn't read that.
It was typical fare. Session Zero does certain things, and while I might agree on some level, it even said if you are playing with folks that you don't really need much of it. Zero, though what it's useful for is to set standards for how people behave. And a little farther down, it just mentioned safety tools.
Yeah.
So stupid.
Yeah. I just don't have
safety tools are for the garage.
Right.
That's it.
What's the elbow cough thing? I'm not understanding that. Fel Franklin and Silent. Oh, okay. Got it. I'm old. Don't know stuff. All right.
Yes. Oh, yes. We have some people from DVR's channel. DVR is someone my wife follows. He does scam baiting, and he's some of the folks from over there have been kind to grace us with their presence. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks a lot. So, shall we move on to the really main topic? We have a secondary topic too.
Yeah, main topic. Hickman Manifesto.
Yeah, so I tried to bombard Joe with a bunch of articles and YouTube videos. Our buddy OGGM had a response, or at least a comment on the DM's lair. He had to do a second video because his first one didn't have any sound or much sound to it. And I thought he made some very good comments about this Hickman Manifesto and Revolution. So I'll dive into a little bit of the background. I'm sure many folks, I didn't know it was a big deal until I saw the DM's lair video. Apparently, when Tracy Hickman, back in the early 80s, I think, had his own little company or project called Night Ventures. And his hope was to, sell modules basically, or adventures. And he wanted to do something kind of original and unique. And his wife, and who else helped him with that? It was Tracy and Laura. And it wasn't.
There might have been others, but they were primary, weren't they?
There was a third person, another lady, I think. But basically, he had his own version of Pharaoh. Everybody knows the famous module.
I didn't.
Desert Desolation. You didn't know about that?
Oh, I knew that, but I didn't know about Pharaoh until I read this stuff.
The Tomb of Martek is the last one, and something about the Pharaoh. Anyway, Weiss and Hickman did. Was Margaret Weiss? I didn't think she was part of this Pharaoh thing, but I don't. It doesn't matter. Anyway, and they set out. People call this manifesto. It was a philosophy for their company. And
one moment.
Okay.
Other people call.
Okay.
Other people. I don't think he did.
No.
It was dubbed by subsequent folks, and I don't even think then. It's more recent. Years, 10 or so years. A lot of those articles are like 10 years old.
A lot of them were like, and OSR folks kind of got upset because they thought it was kind of anti-sandbox, it was more about telling stories all the time. And Pharaoh, the first adventure Pharaoh he wrote was for his company, but then TSR said, hey, we want it, and they bought it, and they published it. And he had something called Night of the Vampire with a Y. Is that pronounced vampire? Vampyr?
Probably.
And that became Ravenloft through TSR. But long story short, he had these four philosophy statements behind it. And people in these articles and these different videos, and OGGM as well, went through them in pretty good. All news to Indigo Dragon. Yeah.
It was to us too, I think, too, as well. Yeah.
I had no idea. And people talking about some hating on Hickman for this. And I read a couple articles on Grognardia where I thought he was very fair. He just didn't like the approach. He wasn't a jerk to Hickman. He even finished most of his articles saying, hey, don't hate on Hickman about this. But here's the four objectives that he had in his philosophy. 1, a player objective more worthwhile than simply pillaging and killing. I mean, early D&D was about killing monsters and taking their stuff out of the dungeon. There's nothing wrong with that in my mind, that if that's what you want to play. But I agree with a lot of people, and I dug pretty deep. I not only read the articles, I did something Joe hates to do. I read the comments pretty far through, and it was pretty interesting. Hickman responded once in the Grognardia, and so did Ryan Dancy with the 3 when someone slashed 3E a little bit. And I think these articles were published around the 4th edition era, beginning of the 4th edition era. And
2010, 2012.
Yeah. And so anyway, this idea of player objective more worthwhile than simply pillaging and killing, that seems reasonable to me. I mean,
I remember when we were even youngsters, 13, 14.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we started playing.
Yeah, and we did more than just, we got into
even
other.
Though the stories were juvenile.
Sure.
It was like the WWF meets the Roman pantheon and the Norse pantheon. And the Greek pantheon, and we're there, giving them directions on who to jump off the turnbuckle and whatnot. But
I remember
there was more to it than just popping monsters and taking their stuff.
In our older high school days, it got a little more serious because you were reading more books, and you were talking about, I want to build this staff and I want to do this, and we did a lot of talking about that sort of thing. The idea of more than just killing stuff, but like accomplishing things, becoming a great wizard. And so I think most people would agree that's not a bad idea. Then the second one is an intriguing story that is intricately woven into play itself. Now, this is where I think I saw some of the people Joe have talked about before that just lose their mind if the DM has any sort of meta plot or plot outside of the players. And I'm like, that's how I run. Stuff is going to the Temple of Elemental Evil, the stuff I've got going on. It's not really Temple of Elemental Evil. I'm running a variation for the group, but stuff's going to happen. And if they don't figure it out and don't care to, there might be consequences. They can move along if they want to, but they ain't got to be a part of the story, but it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
But some people say that's bad. And the third one was dungeons with an architectural sense. Man, I thought about that when I was 12. I was like, this dungeon makes no sense at all. Look at these stupid corridors. Why are they in circles? This is stupid. And where do the kobolds poop? That came to me quickly. And the last one caused a stir, but I think it's because a lot of people don't understand what Hickman was talking about. It says, for an attainable and honorable end within 1 to 2 sessions playing time. And people took off with the first part. An attainable and honorable end. Oh, so the players have to win. Well, sort of. What he's saying is it needs to have, he's talking about over a session or two. Have the adventure finish up, right? Have some sort of ending to it. That doesn't mean I write the ending, but you have a place where, look, I wrote, and I have all these encounters up to and including fighting the necromancer. That's what I have planned. The players may or may not have a darn thing to say. I mean, they may not give a crap about the necromancer, but that's sort of the end of the quote unquote that adventure. And the players may just bypass that adventure and then you're winging it. That happened a lot too. So, I mean, those 4 things were kind of the main talking points. And some folks really get bent out of shape. Others think it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. And it led us to the era of more story-driven stuff. Some folks would say second edition went kind of off the rails with it. And I wouldn't disagree. My beloved Planescape has a couple of pretty big modules that can be pretty railroady, and that's the big complaint about. This is the beginning of the story railroad. I don't know. I don't think this was really a thing.
Okay, so
Hickman's viewpoint.
Yeah, so when we were young, we didn't hear about this.
Mm-mm.
When we didn't just me and you and I didn't hear about it till this week, maybe last week, and last week, because you had said that this was a topic we wanted to talk about this week. Mm-hmm. So, but never heard of I've heard of Tracy Hickman.
Yes,
I've heard of the Dragonlance adventures and some of the other things. I didn't know the Pharaoh thing. I didn't know a lot of the background.
You knew him and his wife wrote Ravenloft, though.
No, so no, I didn't. No, I've played through it, but I didn't care to look at all that stuff.
Dude, look at Jeffrey Garrison. He knows the truth. Planescape modules were definitely railroady. That's true. That said, Planescape is uber sand body. I think he meant sandboxy, but I'm with you. I'm with you, Jeffrey. Oh, he corrected himself.
He corrected himself. I'll put that up too. Good job. Yeah.
He's a Planescape fan, so you know he's smart.
Yeah. So the thing is, we were doing this without the need for someone to tell us to do this, but we also weren't taking any of these points maybe out of focus or putting too much emphasis on it.
No.
There were stories, but an intriguing story that's intricately woven into play itself. You can take that too far and say, this is the story. We will do this story. And everything you do is for this story. And I will bounce you back into the story if you go out of it as the DM. And you could look at it and say that, or you could maybe tone down those intriguing and intricately words and just say that you have a story that's woven in there somehow. That's present, where the DM has a backstory that he would like to bring to the fore through play. Right. And I think that doesn't necessarily have to get in the way of the story that is created through play at the table. They can coexist just fine.
A couple of good comments there. I like what Indigo Dragon and Tim Scott said there. You can put them up one at a time. 4 sounds like he's saying have a conclusive end of the adventure in 1 to 2 sessions. Yeah, and I think the idea is, and I mean that's what he wanted to do. He wasn't saying that's what he had to do. His night venture project was to have adventures like that.
Yeah, you have, and probably you have an overarching story concept or whatever plot, and then you have mini plots, and then the mini plots are what's finished up in the session or two. You do small sections, and they can all be part of a bigger story or not. It all depends on what you want to do.
Some of the linked articles have some original, you can see typeset paper that Hickman wrote for his company Night Adventures. And yeah, he was really trying to do that. What's Tim Scott say? What that means is the players can win.
Win, not will.
Right.
Winning should be achievable doesn't mean it has to be easy.
Yeah, Mr. Max B. Yeah, Tim is right. So Ravenloft came out first. Pharaoh was actually first. And then he did Ravenloft. And then they did Dragonlance. And you have to give credit to both Tracy and Laura. In fact, if you read those articles, Laura played D&D first. When they started dating, she brought Tracy into it. But yeah, I believe that's the order. You guys got it. Yep. Campaign should have overall end goals. Yep. And it's okay to go off mission. I mean, I don't think you should be. I mean, look.
They shouldn't be written in stone.
I like to railroad Joe as much as I possibly can, but that dude is very resistant to it. So sometimes I just say, all right, go off the rails. There's going to be Bulette jumping over the horses to eat your wizard, but do what you want, dude.
That's what happens. That's how he keeps me on the rails.
Obey your dungeon master is what I say.
Yeah. All you have to do is have somewhere in the distance, just like if you were on the water, but it's on the land, have a fin come up.
Yes.
Get
back on those rails, Joe Harden.
Yeah. Right. I liked Ravenloft. I didn't really like Dragonlance very much.
You had some good experiences with that module. I remember you coming back from the military and you played it a couple of times with different DMs, and you really enjoyed the adventures you had in Ravenloft. But of course, we're talking I6, the original Ravenloft. Did you play much in the world?
Yeah, yeah. And the DM, while he could tend to be a little railroady, he let us just do whatever. And I had I think a unique ending for one of the times I played through. The DM mistakenly gave handed out a ring of a ring. I think it only had one wish. So we took the Omega door and was facing Strahd very much too soon. And I said, all right, well, I'll use my wish. He's not a vampire anymore. He's just a living man.
Nice.
And the way I sold it was Strahd was in love with the reborn, was the original woman Tatiana as well?
No, Irina something, Kolvana or something.
But he was in love with Tatiana, and that allowed him to pursue her for real and actually be able to have a real relationship with her as a human man. So it worked.
Hey, there's our dude Arn Man working tonight in Ann Arbor. Sorry,
Arn Man.
Hope you get to enjoy the show and hang out with us. Maybe your job doesn't need you that bad. Tell them you need to talk to Biggest Geekus because this is where the cool kids are hanging out.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Obey your Dungeon Master of Puppets. Do. Metal.
It comes from hell.
Never expect the players to follow the storyline. That's some truth. Stinking players. Follow my script. I write it out for them.
Yeah, and this is the thing. It's like a lot of things with the D&D in our community, if you can call it a single community. I don't. I think we're made up of multiple smaller communities or just hobby groups. Anyway, people take some things a bit too seriously, like the words of the vaunted and holy Gygax.
Easy, man.
They take his words a little too seriously. And this, I think some people may have taken too seriously. I'm not sure. But if they got really mad about it, then yes, I think they did.
Yes.
And if people actually took these points and said, this is what I'm going to do, and this is what you should do, this is the way to play, then they're probably taking it a little too seriously as well. We take things a little too seriously. It's a game.
Yeah.
These are nice guidelines.
And be honest with you, I'm coming back from that. Joe knows, I had a long stretch where I think I took the game too seriously. I like Tim Scott's comment. Doesn't mean GM can't change parts, but I think I'm learning to be on my toes more. I used to be more, I was never an extemporaneous DM, but I did play off the cuff a lot, and I'm doing it more. Oh, that's a good statement. Jeffrey Garrison. Key takeaway from Dragonlance should not be you either love Kinder or you hate them. Unfortunately, it is the key takeaway. True. That's true.
I was never a big Dragonlance fan. I read a couple of novels. I didn't think that they were very good. And then the modules came out, and I think those were, some people say that they were masterpieces. I think that they were just a study in the railroad.
There I do agree. I think they absolutely were. You know, it's funny with the Kinder, a comment on the Kinder before you go too far. My first experience with someone playing a Kinder was massively good. Most people can't say that. Our buddy Darren from college, played a Kinder that was wonderful. And he wasn't annoying at all. Oh, brand new DM should get a free pass. I agree. You should not complain at all.
No.
Let him figure it out and be a good player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, we're not communities. We're cells, according to Legion of Myth. RPG cells. We're all fantasy terrorists.
That's what I'm talking about, baby. Revolution. So, I don't think this is really a thing, in my opinion. That's where I'm coming down. I don't think the Hickman Manifesto is a real thing. It's just Tracy's attempt to do something. He played in the early days of D&D and was just getting in with TSR, and not the ancient of days, but I don't know if there's a great article on Grognardi about ages: Golden Age, Electrum Age, Copper Age of fantasy role playing and D&D, and it's all opinion, but it's a fun read. I think I'll send you that link later on. And
we must be in the Cork Age.
He has a name for it. It's
not even good. Metal.
It's not good, dude. Yeah, we're in the.
This age of role playing is so not metal. It's cork.
Yeah. Can I have a sip of Adam's Coke Samimi? What a name. Hey, do it until. Hey, can I have a sip? I say you throw crap at them until they get tired of it. Or you get tired of it. And you know what? You can't force role playing and stuff on them, bud. But what you can do is you can role play. Gonna tell a story here. Old man Randy. I was running Pathfinder 1 at Gen Con. I know that's probably heresy. This was years ago, 2009, when it first came out. And I had some guys that all they wanted to do was every encounter was attack pattern delta. And they were an elite strike force.
Oh, yeah.
And I was role playing my butt off to DM all the NPCs, and they were like, yeah, okay, what's the mission? Or like, yeah, you said the words, where's the bad guys? And these guys, and by the way, they're from the great state of Michigan as well. If they're watching this, I had a blast with these dudes. And I thought afterwards, because I'm like, well,
until you comes to dividing treasure.
Oh, yeah.
Everything else up to that point, pretty good. Then dividing treasure.
But it was so funny. It was so funny. So they're just like every encounter, and they are so good. I felt lucky to do any damage to any of them. They were so good combat wise. And then they left, and they were not like, they were like, fighter does this, rogue does this, wizard does this. That's how they played the game. And it was fine. And what I did was I was like, man, we just didn't hit it off. And so the next year I ran for Pathfinder Society again. And those guys purposely looked me up and played in my game. They go, you were so great. You were so fun. You got into your character. And guess how they played at the table? the exact same way. Pattern alpha. And I was like, okay. So what I'm saying is, can I have a sip? If they're having fun, you do you. Get your fun in. I get my fun in. I want to act like I'm role playing some stupid wizard named Spoonwar in Temple of Elemental Evil. Joe's looking at me like I'm a Fruit Loop because this guy's really kind of weird. And I was just like, and that might be Smug. It might be Spug Noir. It's Gygax's name. So,
Yeah,
But,
who knows? You'd have to probably dig him up and resurrect him and ask him, how is this pronounced?
Yeah. But I say, can I have a sip? You throw those monsters at them and you add story as much as you want, and they'll bite on what they bite on. And what they don't, that's fine. You can still, as a DM, I'm a firm believer. I can have my fun no matter what the players are doing. And I got to be careful that I don't, because I tend to
over prep.
I do. And I'm becoming very exposition-y in my old age as I'm talking a lot here too. I've got to learn to back off more and let you guys just do. So.
Yeah, and the thing is, there's a lot of different play styles, and there's a lot of different ways that the DM can be and do his DM thing. So, I did read some of the comments out there, and people often will say, "That's not how you play. That's not how you play. This is how you play. This is how you play." There are very few things that you can, I think, legitimately say that with. If you have to successfully sacrifice a human being to score a hit, well, I think that's probably doing it wrong. Could check my math, but I'm pretty sure that's wrong. Playing wrong. But as Indigo Dragon says, there's nothing bad about the Hickman Manifesto, if that's what you want to call it. Or the wizard, which is bigger, his spell book or his backstory?
Somebody knows him. Yeah, he's looking for his spell book. Yeah,
is that how you spell more?
It's SPOIG. Oh gosh, it's SPOGNOIR. It's almost French. It's Spoonwar.
Oh, and he probably just threw a bunch of letters together, and that's what came up.
Probably did. Sorry about the ice chewing, Max. I didn't mute like I have been. I just chewed some ice live. So,
right, but these are the manifesto, as it's been dubbed, is just a set of guidelines that are interesting to try to follow, but you shouldn't take them too seriously. It's one way of doing things. Some DMs don't want to do prep, or they don't have time, or they like to run the game at the table, but the prep part isn't really their temperament, doesn't match up with that.
Yep.
Or they're under a delusion that Gygax has told them not to, which there are a bunch of folks like that. And they just run it at the table, let the players, they follow what the players lead. And others want to lead. They want to be, here's the story, come to the story, this way. And that's another play style, and there's a lot of players who like that.
Yeah.
There are a lot of players who like to be able to to do the leading.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then there's a lot of stuff in between. And so there's a lot of different play styles, and as long as you're using the rules out of the book, you can do that either way. If you're using the old rules, you use THACO or the tables. You have race class limits, which is the correct way. That is the correct way. And as long as you're using the rules out of the book, whether you have something prepped or not, that's irrelevant.
And whether or not you, like, even if you have a story idea, I mean, it's fine. Yeah, I agree with Max there. He's right. The Hickman Manifesto, I'm about 98%. I may be even more, but I would add one little caveat. Why not just, and if they don't bite on your hooks, oh well, just wing it.
Okay. This is not endorsed by Biggest Geekus or its affiliates. However, Legion of Myth has concluded that social justice warriors aren't people, so he's free to sacrifice them. Again, not an endorsement by Biggest Geekus and its affiliates.
I'm going to take umbrage at Tim Scott's statement.
Shouldn't we not take any of it seriously? It's a game. We are there to have fun. I agree.
Disagree. It's all total serious. Get in your role, play your role, and do what you're told.
Uh-oh. I'm in trouble. We're not on the same sheet of music.
Oh, it is. I just, sometimes, and Joe knows, it's hard for me sometimes when I'm running because I want to, like even the other night, I had to keep telling myself, we'll do what we do. I had so much prepared, so much. And I had read through so much. I can't say prepared. I'm trying to be loose. Oh, yeah, that's true. If you're not using weapon adjustment versus armor class, you're doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm. It's in the book.
Yeah, I have a hard time not wanting to. We need to accomplish so much tonight, which we don't. The accomplishing is having fun. So.
Oh. Okay. Don't take it seriously. Powder Puff Nerd agrees with Tim Scott. Sacrifice them to our land and Savior, our Lord and Savior, Gygax.
Yeah. What is gaming as SRS bands?
Serious. I think.
Oh.
I don't know what he means by bands. Oh. Serious business. There's a typo. A typo.
Question. Because I'm looking at, can I have a sip also? Taking things seriously. Just below the next after Indigo Dragon, SJ Jubbins are just the bots, but the one after that.
You said something about taking a sip.
That's his name. Can I have a sip of Adam's Coke Samimi? What is that?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you think? Yeah. I mean, do you ever? There's times in the game where you want to get in the groove of things and kind of be playing a role and taking a little bit serious, don't you? I don't want to be goofy fun time.
Right. So there are people who like it to be totally goofy and off the charts and stuff like that, and that's their play style. And sometimes I like to joke around a lot, maybe a little too much, but I like to joke around. Yeah. But there is a way to game seriously without taking things too seriously. So when it says in the book that you roll a d20 and you compare numbers, and if you get a high number, you win. You take that seriously. You don't say, well, I rolled the die. I'm good. I hit, right? So.
Or when you make fun of the orcs, the wizard's name, Spoonwar, and everybody's laughing at the table, that's fine.
Yeah.
Even if I'm trying to write a name that I think is cool, sometimes I've given NPCs names I thought were cool and players made fun of it. And I've told the Ravenlock story. So, what's this one? I like to be loose and let a lot of place for players to surprise me.
A lot of room for the players to maneuver. Yeah. That's good.
Yep.
That's perfect.
Well, that's fun for a GM. I like the idea of not knowing what's going to happen.
That's one reason I kind of favor less prep, more maybe random tables and stuff, so I can be surprised as well. If I know everything that's going to happen, it might get boring depending on who's playing.
Yeah.
If you just got people who want to follow the leader, and I just say, here's the beginning of the adventure. Okay, we go there. And here's some rooms. Yeah, we go to that room. What's there? And it can be a little boring if you let the players, you give a little rope to the players.
Yeah.
And let them be creative and have a little bit of randomness in there. I think that's a great recipe for fun night.
Yeah, and I think that's true. I think for sure. I have a hard time relying on charts though, but I understand it sounds enticing. Oh, it depends on the person, but I keep flow charts of weight to value ratio for items when I play games with weight value. Other people would think that is a bit nuts, but so like for encumbrance and stuff like that.
Flow charts?
I'm not sure what he means. Flow charts with weight to value ratio.
I mean charts with weight values. So this weight of item has this much value. Yeah, so like this much wheat. It depends on what they find. So if you have a larger variety of items to be found in an adventure, not just gold and magic items. If they have trade goods and whatnot, and you have tables of their value according to weight, and then maybe that slides around because different regions and stuff like that. I can understand that if that's what you're talking about. Person, very long named person that I have. I mean, it's almost like he just typed something in randomly.
I think his name is Can I Have a Sip? That's what I'm calling him. Can I have a sip?
Can I have a sip?
Probably shorten it to Sip very soon. But I like
and who's this Adam person?
I don't know, but he must have good cokes.
Yeah.
So
must.
Oh, Tim Scott makes a good point. The next one. This is good.
I mean more about when people say how you need to game. If you're having fun, you are doing it right. Doesn't mean you can't have serious moments. Yes.
Tim is speaking to me because I can't tell you in my mind when we're playing sometimes when we get off the beaten path. It's not that I can't have fun, but my mind is like, man, and this is a drawback to prepping. I want to get to the stuff I prepared. I want them to see the stuff that I prepared. But I got to be careful because I don't want it to be Randy's trying to be a frustrated novelist. Oh, I can use his account to hit on YouTubers as a joke. Oh.
Have you hit on us yet? I don't think so. You haven't, asked us out at all.
Mm-mm. That's all right. We're married. He understands. Or she understands.
Yeah. We're taken.
She understands. He understands. It's fine. So yeah. How about this then? Did it change gaming? This because some of those
how can you make that determination? Can you say that particular set of guidelines did it, or can you say that after Hickman and Weiss' team made a couple of successful modules, they decided to go with them, and then they had a formula that they used?
Right.
And
it caught on, apparently. Seems like it.
Right. I don't know. Because it's possible.
I mean, it seems like to me that post Pharaoh, and when you got to Ravenloft and the Dragonlance, to me, those modules were practically useless to run.
Right, because it was scripted. It was, I mean, not every single thing, but it was scripted enough that you didn't really have any wiggle room to do your own thing, and you had to play the book characters.
Yeah. So that's a good question. How can you be sure? I think some of the older folks that are like 1E and before that just say, look, they saw a turn in the game. What? The priors of Gygax declare you're a heretic to the way of D&D origin. That's
that's Bro SR.
Baby, we are. We are
Why?
Heretical Bro SRs.
We're heretics because, well, some folks, even if you just use the words.
ISP.
Yeah, my ISP.
Use the word.
If you just use the word story, you're a heretic.
Bad words.
Bad word. Naughty poo-poo word.
Oh, Patrick. Pony Hat Games, baby, in the house. Too loose a game, and you have some players turn the entire campaign into clown shoes and kitty cars.
It can.
I think it can, and that's when I would probably be like, guys, I'm not interested in playing that.
Yeah, well, you curate your group.
Yep.
If you have some folks that tend to do that no matter what,
yep,
you don't invite them to the table. Or maybe you just have if you're friends with them, you have a sit down and say, look, we're just not doing that.
Mm-hmm. This is not my intention. Shh, Tim, don't be telling on us.
You are failing.
No, he said that we love to be hit on, which might be true. No, it's not true. Joe does, though. So, all right. So, did it change gaming? I'm going to say that manifesto itself that people claim didn't change gaming, but I think the results of Ravenloft did. I think Ravenloft made a shift in how adventures were written, and I think Pathfinder, though you can argue against the you can argue against the Giants. I'll get the words out right. Was a adventure path. Vault of the Drow was an adventure path. Desert Desolation was adventure path, but I think
Slaver series.
There were many adventure paths for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think Pathfinder perfected it. I think their their Rise of the Rune Lords, which is still very excellent as an adventure path. It's one of the, and they turned it. I mean, Paizo, they had a formula. I mean, I collected maybe the first 15 adventure paths, and I was like, there's a formula. And I'm not knocking them for being the formula. I'm just saying they know what to write to take you to adventure 1, to adventure 2, to adventure 3. And a lot of people like telling that story. I mean, if you say we're going to play Rise of the Rune Lords, people expect to play Rise of the Rune Lords, not your weird variation of it. Though my tendency now would be, it's going to start out Rise of the Rune Lords. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, let's see what happens. Yeah, so yeah, I kind of agree with that. Not the manifesto as it were, or as it was itself, right. But they found a winning combination in module creators, and they just went with them. They had a bit of a formula. I don't really know if they used the same formula in all their modules because I didn't look at them all that closely. I played in them, right. But some people say yes. And if it works, and they make,
I'm saying hello to Darth Theok.
Peace. Yeah, represent.
Yo, what's up?
If it works, it makes them money, and the adventures are well received. Apart from Dragonlance, I don't know, as far as I'm concerned, I don't know of any of their modules that were not necessarily well received. And they did make a couple before Desert of Desolation in different forms, and probably worked on their craft, and they hit a particular format that worked for a lot of people, made them some money, and they just kept doing it. And that's what you do. If you have wheels are round, and they facilitate going from A to B. If you make a very good wheel and it's very smooth and it gets you from A to B very well, you don't change that. Just, let's mix it up and make it bumpy. Well, I guess you can say that with tires. They have the grooves and everything. It works, but
right.
They're not bumpy per se. Anyway,
but
if it's a pattern that works and it makes you money, you're going to keep doing it.
I remember getting that very first Dragonlance module, and I don't know if you were around, you were in the military, but the group that was playing then was like, we don't want to play Raceland and Caramount and these guys, because what happens if my group literally said, what happens if they die? And I was like, yeah, good point. But there was
nothing.
Well, okay, but I mean, the point was, it's kind of like playing Marvel superheroes and then Batman dies in your game. It just feels weird.
Yes, I agree with this. Published adventures need to have a. I hate my ISP drink. Need to have a story and direction unless they are expressly presented as sandboxes. Yes, otherwise you're going to buy it and you're not going to know what to do with it.
No. Yeah, and I think sandboxes read cool, but I think story adventures, just in my opinion, are better for new GMs. They'll like
sure.
They'll like ones that have a complete start and end.
You need to probably, like we were saying earlier, the new DM needs to be given some space to develop their skills, and you can't do it by jumping directly into a sandbox. I don't think having at least a module or something prepared in advance, having some story, some kind of story.
Yeah, you need to have a premise, I think, because a lot of people, I mean, the old school modules, Keep on the Borderland, that was real super basic in the early days, and everybody, I mean, right now, if you wrote an adventure, Castle on the Moors, well, no, there would be people that would like it. They love the old school stuff, so I'm not going to say that. Oh, yeah, there were other Dragonlance modules. I know there was a series, Time of the Twins and Legends, and I think Tim Scott knows more about that, and other folks on here know a lot more about Dragonlance than either Joe or I do.
Yeah. Dragons of Autumn Twilight is one that comes to mind. I stopped reading it after like the second, maybe. I don't know if I ever made it through the whole first one. Dude. It's just there were plenty of other books that were much better written.
I didn't read any of them. I didn't read any of them.
Your secret is safe with me.
You
and
know
everyone
me.
here on the internet and everybody that watches this subsequently.
Joe can verify. I was into comic books. That was
Yeah.
I didn't read other crap. I read comic books, which now is no longer an option. Still crying.
Comicsgate, that's another option.
That's the road I'm going to try to travel.
You can travel over to Alabama and appropriate Max's collection of Cyberfrog.
Sweet, I need to get that.
I think he has all of them, or at least all of them at the time when he purchased them. So,
is that from the guy who left DC a year or so back and said they were super? He was tired of them destroying all the characters. There was a colorist. He said he was sick of them destroying all the characters, and he was.
I believe he left for that reason. I don't know if that's exactly the same person, but there's a few of them in the in the Comicsgate movement that are former industry folks. Ethan Van Sciver. I was trying to remember.
Good for him.
Yeah.
I've not Kickstarted, Indiegogo. I think I've said it. Chuck Dixon and a few other guys. About 4 comic books. Dixon's is coming out very soon. It's been sent in the mail. I'm pumped.
Oh, cool.
He's one of my favorite.
So once you're done with it, just mail it to me.
I will, and then and if you don't give it back, I'll have to kill you. So.
You just try.
I'll tell my mom because she lives here now.
Dragons. Oh, so Patrick, for those on the audio and not on the video, Patrick said not as familiar with the Dragonlance series. Did they ever have any novels not named Dragons of Adjective Noun? And then later on, Jeffrey Garrison says, Patrick Demo, there's some meme potential there. So you can replace some of the words, kind of like, you could do what's the one where you just know that you need an adjective or a noun or a verb, and you just write a bunch of them down and fill in the blank.
Yeah, there's a name for those sort of things. Mad Libs.
Mad Libs. So you can do a Dragonlance Mad Libs, and he has one.
Dragons of blank, 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 blank. Yeah.
Dragons of National Secretary's Day Appreciation.
Yeah.
That's
I always thought dragons would be rare. Oh well. There are all kinds of dragons.
Yes. So to be honest, we cannot tell you whether or not this manifesto changed gaming as we know it.
No, we can't be sure. My guess, it's about, I'm going to say, with a random number, relatively random, I think it's about 60% likely it did. I think the success of the Dragonlance novels,
it's indirect.
And I-6 was crazy big. It was crazy popular. Now that, Against the Giants, and Keep on the Borderlands all got a silver anniversary edition. There might have been a 4th one. And it's been reprinted.
Are those all Hickman works?
No, I'm just pointing out. I'm trying to say. So you had Keep on the Borderlands was ancient D&D, golden age D&D.
Yeah.
Then you had Against the Giants, which is kind of the silver age of D&D. I'm using Grognardi as silver age.
Yeah.
And then you have the Hickman, which was kind of the newer Bronze Age, or whatever you want. I don't know what he called it.
Right.
Hickman work of Ravenloft, and I think Ravenloft was storyish, and Planescape was like super story. It was all about, people's motivations and stuff. And dang it, the more I think about it, I feel like Planescape might have something. I wonder if Planescape is a precursor.
Well, there's story there. There's a lot of story there in Planescape.
Yeah.
However, it's all background story. There's not a story except for the Blood War. Right? Nothing. There's no singular story.
Not a single story, but I mean, I'm thinking, I'm going outside of the topic here. I'm thinking about Planescape, and I'm starting to wonder if all the craziness that happened in the planes that annoys a lot of people, if it's not a precursor of some of the crazy crap that's going on in 5e now, where you can be anything, the Globagoo approach. Paladins can be chaotic evil, demons can be lawful good. Yeah. Oh, Crafty just posted on our Discord that the Hickman Manifesto is mentioned in the book Arbiter of Worlds by Alexander Macris. Ooh, another book I may need to get a hold of.
Well, tell Crafty to get in here and participate.
Yes. Learn us something. We need to be learned stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, whether we can say it really change gaming or not. I mean, again, I feel like it's more. That's why I said 60%. It's more likely that it did than it didn't. Yeah, Mr. Max. So, are you against the tiefling? Now, see, I'm a huge Planescape fan, but I'll be honest with you, man. Ever since we started talking with the Legion of Myth, he's bringing up the problems with Planescape. I'm starting to doubt myself a little.
Okay, so what? Tieflings came from Planescape. Yes, they did. And if people would play them in their proper context, as in you have a tiefling arrive in Greyhawk and he's walking around in the village, they're going to look at him and say, hey, there's a demon, let's kill it, or drive it out, or run. They're not going to say, oh, this is a new person. Let's go ask him questions and bring him a cake and all of this stuff. And no, he looks like a demon. You're going to treat him like a demon because he's a demon.
Tieflings were not NPCs in 2E. They were a playable race in Planescape.
But if there were some, when the tiefling is, say, in Sigil, they'll be fine because Sigil's a corrupt place anyway. But when a tiefling goes to a prime world, they should be met with, at the very least, fear, apprehension, and distrust.
Unless you are like a super prove it. All right, dude. Pause. I'm about to prove Max wrong. No, I'm not.
We're going to pause
the planer handbook. It's in the planer handbook, dude. For sure. No, it's actually before that. It's in the Planescape box set. But I get it. I mean, I get what Max is saying. I get what Joe's saying too. This whole this cosmopolitan crazy everywhere in every world. Most worlds, it doesn't fit.
I agree, Jeffrey. Yeah, playing a tiefling as a demon-tainted degenerate, then it's still archetypically cool. Yes, it is, but there are ramifications for taking it just anywhere. And as long as that is part of your gameplay, then it's probably fine. But if everywhere you go, everybody treats your tiefling like they're just another person with funny ears,
there you go.
Then that's, why have a tiefling anyway? It's kind of silly.
Yeah. And you can also
you want that mystique, don't you?
Yeah. Why are you choosing a tiefling? Yeah. I mean, it used to be in second edition. They said, well, look, Planescape. I mean, even then they're like, if you go to Prime World, tieflings are looked down upon. I mean, they're considered demonic. And you could also play another archetype like a brooding tiefling who is always fighting the evil within himself, trying to be good. You know what I'm saying? And he's not willing to. It's hard for him to talk to people because he feels like they all hate him. And probably most people would hate him. I mean, that's the truth. Right from the beginning, they would initially find him very distasteful. I don't know. But Max might be talking about proving 2E was allowed. He's talking just core books. No, tieflings were definitely not in the core books. Oh, okay. Yeah, it probably is.
Well, sure. Indigo Dragon, the guy on Total Party Skills channel, theorizes that Planescape is the default setting of 5e in his video he just posted in the last day. The entire multiverse of D&D is now cosmopolitan, and the only way that would really happen is if Planescape was the base setting and everything hangs off of it, and is equally accessible to every race and thing in the imagined worlds of D&D.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, I think your argument comes down to your glob of goo statement.
Yeah,
Tiefling is just like everybody else. Who cares?
Yes, Jeffrey.
Yep.
Consistent archetypes can help people channel their mythic imagination sensory organs. That's a great line. Mythic imagination sensory organs.
That is good.
5e destroys these natural expectations of consistency. Right. Why play someone that's edgy and everybody's like, oh, hey, bro?
Yeah. Yep. Little barbecue sauce. They are quite tasty.
I don't know what that's referencing.
Tieflings.
Tieflings? Okay, yes. Tasty tieflings with barbecue sauce. Yummy.
Yeah, that's true. I think so too. But Planescape is where they really started using them. I'm going to have to go look because that's driving me nutty.
All right, so according to Patrick Demo, new rule, the Hollywood rule. You can't play a race or class unless you are actually a representative of that race or class. Accuse everyone of cultural appropriation. Yeah, because they don't want you to play. You have to be a black guy to play a black character in a D&D game, depending on where you're at. And that's dumb. Darthiac, nobody cares if the tiefling is trying to do good. All that is cared about is that any misfortunes can be blamed on it and its infernal blood. Well, yes, of course, because it's true.
No tiefling in the second edition monster manual. It's in the Planescape box set.
Yeah, I'm going to say that I've heard a few people recently rail about how D&D medieval villages they're all superstitious. Well, I'm going to probably disagree with that.
That what?
There might be some superstition, but superstitions in our real world are based on, most of the time, erroneous facts, erroneous things, wives' tales, legends, stuff that isn't true. And all the stuff that isn't true that are superstitions now would be things that would be true, or most of them would be true in a medieval world. So I wouldn't say that they would be superstitious. They would just be rightfully fearful. Because there are demons, there are fairies, there are lots of things out there in the wild that want to kill you all the time. And there's undead walking around, there's ghosts, there's goblins, all that stuff. So there's less. I think that in a fantasy medieval world, there would be less superstition and more well-founded fear. So when that demon-looking thing comes in there, yeah, they're genetically inbred. Not inbred. That's not the right word. Genetically developed sense of wrong kicks in and says that looks like a demon. Oh, let's run. That's a valid reaction. Yes, you can't be anything according to the new rule. Blabagoo.
Sorry, I just need a minute.
So with any campaign, according to Jeffrey Garrison, any campaign setting, what people need to realize is that this is more. I agree completely. Paring down all the options is how you create significant things. I agree. Less is more, even with backstory and what everybody knows about the world and all that stuff. Oh, Ral Partha had all kinds of good stuff. Oh, Max says he's not trying to argue.
No, it's okay if he is. It's fine. I like it.
No, he says stop. Stop now, or he's going to find somebody to come there and make you stop.
Okay, I'll quit then. It's this is where they give the expansion for the tieflings, but I think he might be right. It wasn't until the actual Planescape. Does he have the? No, it's okay, Max. It's fine. I'm almost positive it's the box set where you have the option. I could grab my box set, but I'm going to screw it.
Oh, Patrick.
What is Patrick saying?
That's Randy's version of foreplay.
It's all love, baby. So, player's guide. Player's guide, baby. So, you could play player character races. Oh, dig it. Dig it. Can you see it? Probably can't.
No, you have to hold it still. Hold it still. Yeah, Tiefling is blurry, but
it's there. It's on page 11. Player character races. The standard that everybody knows: Barrier, Githzerai, Half Elf, Human, and Tiefling. Well, Max just made me think. I know they said you could, or because I'm like, did I just let people play Tieflings? That is not like me. Right, Joe?
Nah, you let me play an android before there were androids.
I might be.
You let me make it up, and then you're like, no, we're not doing that.
Good. Good job, Max. I like the derailment. Anytime you want to talk about Planescape, it's okay by me.
So, welcome, Bruce. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Always when Bruce shows up.
Yeah. So, good, bad, or ugly? How would you wrap this up, the manifesto?
Okay.
It's fine. I don't know what it, like we said, we can't be sure what impact it had, but I think it's fine.
Drink. Good, bad, or ugly. I think that it is a fine set of guidelines that if you keep them as guidelines and not like strictures or tenets, then you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And I don't know how ugly, but I think that anyone who looks at this and says, this ruined D&D, I think you're being a little bit melodramatic.
I think so too. I agree. It didn't ruin D&D.
Your books don't change.
No.
You're not prevented from playing the way you want. Some modules might be not constructed the way you like, but most of the folks that complain about this kind of thing don't buy a lot of those modules anyway, I suspect. Or they just buy them for seeds and maps and stuff like that. So, really.
Yeah.
Ruined D&D? If anybody ruined D&D, it was Wizards of the Coast.
Dude, just like you can take an old open sandbox, like probably Keep of the Borderlands, which had some, and make it a cool story. You can take a story-driven adventure and you can completely rework it. Next on the list is the city under the spire called Tolis. Bruce wants to talk about Tolis.
Randy has Tolis.
I do. Should I pull that out?
Pull it out. Pull out that big thing.
This is a family-friendly show. I'm not doing that.
It has a lot of girth.
It does, and it's kind of embarrassing that I can barely lift it. Though I did that thing at Gen Con, holding it on.
Everything we just said is really bad.
It is. Cut it all out.
Okay. Really long bleep.
Beep.
Tolis is interesting, but too modernish compared to vanilla Planescape.
Yeah, baby. Vanilla Planescape.
It certainly is a big book.
I don't think it's the biggest RPG book, though.
It's in the running, I would think.
I think somebody beat it. But yeah, it's 600 and something pages, and I think that's without the DVD, CD stuff attached to it, which I can't access anymore because nobody has a CD drive.
Right. Well.
Nobody meaning me.
Yeah. Patrick says that drink my ISP sucks. He wishes they'd be mellow dramatic as in MELLOW dramatic, which would be a contradictory word, mellow and dramatic at the same time. They would cancel each other out, I guess. Instead of melodramatic, the regular version. Dead Gods, we played through that a bit. That's interesting.
We dig it out.
That too. How about what you do is put all of your collection on a turnstile that's visible from the camera, and just, every time somebody oh no, not a turnstile. Do high tech. Get one of those robot arms.
Yeah, I got that. You know what? That's it. Somebody in the chat last week or week before wanted to said we could do, what if I did a Planescape review?
Yeah. You got most of it, if not, I don't think you have all of it, but you have most of it.
95% of it.
Yeah, so why not?
Oh,
it would be a lot of content.
Indigo Dragon has his Omnibus copy of Star Without Numbered. I'm expecting mine. Is that the most recent Kickstarter one, or am I thinking of something else?
Okay, so omnibus copy of Stars Without Number. I know Stars Without Number is a game. Why is it an omnibus copy? I mean, I know it's big,
Right.
but apart from the game, does it just include a bunch of the other stuff that they've produced, and they just decided to smush it all into one big book?
Yeah.
I'd heard of Stars Without Number, but not the omnibus book.
World Without Numbers is huge.
As a book, or as popularity?
Big, thick.
Stars Without Worlds Without Number.
Worlds Without Number. That's Kevin Crawford's second one.
Huh.
Oh yeah, Rapanathuk.
Yeah. I have that.
You have the
I pronounce it Rapanathuk.
Me too. I like that better.
I don't know how the makers of it pronounce it, but I like it as you could almost make it a campaign setting.
For sure. I don't know how the creators pronounce it, but they're wrong.
Yes.
Rapanathuk.
Well, I don't have the single volume Rapanathuk. I have the original 3 modules that were released. I think was it Swords and Sorcery?
Yeah, D20 back in the day. Yeah. Yeah, I've been wanting to buy.
My turn.
What? Oh yeah, Joe's turn. He's getting stuff. We should both get stuff. That'd make it really interesting. Tolos Rapanathuk, things you could use with improvised weapons. Yeah, I agree. I've been thinking about getting that Rapanathuk hardbound on eBay, but it's a little more than I want to spend for it. Yeah, all that other crap. Jokor's Fairy, lots of other stuff. It's fully a campaign.
Yeah, Sword and Sorcery. It had that. They also Sword and Sorcery had their own campaign setting. That had Titans or something like that in it.
And there was
if I'm remembering correctly, they also had a pretty interesting set of basically wizard expansion rules.
And they have expanded the whole realm. I think the whole world in which Rapanathuk originally resided has now got a lot of extra stuff to it. So you can adventure in there's lots of books that they have that I think are connected in the same world to Rapanathuk. So you could really adventure forever there.
I think if I got it, I might, if I got the more recent, like compiled together thing, I don't know if I'd want to get the 5e compatible one. It would probably be better for me to get like the Pathfinder one or something like that.
And I want to get the Swords and Wizardry one. We should do that. You should get.
They have a Swords and Wizardry compatible. That one. Yep. That one would
be cool. I'd like to, but I can't find that. Now they have all these. There's some that have like numbered and signed, and they are outrageous on eBay. Does anybody know how to get a hard copy cheaper?
I just get it to the Scarred Lands. Yeah,
that's
you were into the Scarred Lands.
I used to have all that stuff for 3rd edition. That was the first full campaign I ran in 3E, and we did levels 1 to 20. It was a great campaign setting.
Yes, Orcus represent.
Yeah. Oh, you have the Swords and Wizardry version of Rapanathuk, Bruce?
That's what I have. No. I have the Sword and Sorcery first. I don't know if it's first printing, but it's the original modules.
Little green ones.
Yeah. They were good. They're good. I think I have some PDFs of some more ISP drink. So they said my problems were solved.
And they are, obviously.
Obviously.
You're just going to have to deal with it. That's their solution.
Well, my motherboard has some sort of network optimization software that I downloaded. And it's supposed to take its sweet time cataloging various things on the network to start optimizing it at some point in the future. Hopefully it works. If not, I'll have to figure out a different ISP. And if I do that, I won't be able to switch to, we were going to switch to the ISP's cell phone thing. It was going to save us $100 a month on our cell phone coverage. But if we end up switching ISPs, that's just not going to happen. Lady spellcasters wore light clothing because spellcasting gave you hot flashes. That's from Patrick Demo. A great way to explain away the cheesecake with game mechanics. What
Dude, go up a little bit.
is that in Scarred Lands?
I don't know. Go up a little bit. Bruce had a good comment. This is a cool fact because that was the first monster manual I bought for 3rd edition. He's right. I got that before the actual monster manual came out.
That's true. Yes.
That was cool. And those are good books. I sold all my Scarred Land stuff to one of our buds.
Orcus is Randy's co-pilot.
Demon Lord of the Undead. You got to love some Orcus.
I like him as a foe.
Yeah.
Only because if he hits you with his wand, you're dead.
I thought Scarred Lands was fascinating because they took the Greek god, the Greek mythology, and Titan, the whole idea of Titans, and did some cool twists with it. And used unique names, but it was basically the Greek gods versus the Titans, and it was pretty sweet.
Yeah, Indigo Dragon favors Midnight or Iron Kingdoms. I'm not too familiar with Iron Kingdoms, but I was not very fond of Midnight. It was hopeless setting for the players.
Yeah, I thought, that's kind of the problem with it, but it was really cool. Oh, Pathfinder, Rapanathuk. Yep, I have that box set for Swords and Wizard. The most recent one. I kickstarted their most recent one.
They have a box set. I'm going to have to look into that. Hopefully it's not too expensive.
Oh, you can get it on the website, dude.
Oh, I'm sure I can get it on some website out there.
I want to say $40 or $50.
Okay. I know whose house to rob.
Come on over. You can steal it. It's sweet. Yeah, I agree with Bruce. I wanted to like Midnight a lot. Patrick ran me through a short campaign of that. Tried to do a campaign. It was hard to get into it. Oh, Dead Gods and Modron March. Yes, that's correct.
Well, Orcus wasn't the dead god.
No, Orcus slew. Oh, should I give it away? Maybe not. I can tell you what the cool story was. The story. Cook absolutely loved the manifesto of Hickman. Yeah.
Yes, according to Bruce, after a few game sessions, the players quit because they didn't enjoy playing at midnight. I'm okay with dark and gritty, but hopeless, being truly hopeless, you cast a spell in the wrong place, you're going to get dumped by all the guards on the continent.
Yeah. The priests of Sauron, basically, they all come.
Yeah, Sauron wins. It'd be one thing if they weren't so omniscient. So if you took away their ability to sense a spellcaster's the spellcaster, he cut himself shaving, so we found you and we're going to kill you now. It just seemed like they could catch them casting their magic so easily. You had to be underground or miles away from them. It was kind of dumb. And it's one thing for them to win. It's another thing for them to be omnipresent, and you can't actually function as heroes at all. It's kind of weird.
It's interesting.
I heard of Iron Kingdoms. I'm just not familiar with it.
I had a buddy that worked for them on their first go through for the D20 system. He actually asked me to translate their first RPG book into French. He goes, I remember you took some French. I'm like, dude, I can't translate.
Taking some French and translating a whole big book is
2 years of high school French, 2 years of college French, and then reading for math French, but that's it. Oh, I like what Indigo Dragon. Oh, his favorite third. That's interesting. Your favorite third edition engine. Your favorite fantasy setting for that'd be a fun topic. Your favorite It's funny how all of our favorite D20 settings are not WotC. Truth, Indigo Dragon, because
I like Greyhawk,
but not for D20. It wasn't my favorite. My
for
favorite,
D20, right?
Mine was actually Scarred Lands. It was to me. It was one of the, not just because it was first. I thought it was really cool. Part of me regrets selling it to my friend. If he's listening, I'd like to have it back. But I'll keep her money.
I'm sure he will. Yes, Bruce Lombardo. If you take away the Ravenloft-esque way for the world to send 40 legions of troops to you, the game could be fun. Speaking of Midnight. But the campaign writers didn't want you to be heroes. No, not really.
They really didn't.
You might as well just join the forces of evil, because I don't know that there's an actual way to ultimately defeat them.
Well, Patrick makes a good point. WotC is not technically technically Greyhawk is owned by WotC, I believe.
Well, they didn't invent it. That was Gary. That was Gary.
Gygax's campaign setting.
Yeah. So that's probably why it's probably more favored. Though a lot of people like Wizards' first only setting.
Which one?
Eberron. All the other settings made before Wizards. Even Planescape was before Wizards, wasn't it?
Yeah. What? Planescape was made by TSR. Yes.
TSR. Yeah.
During the
Eberron was the only setting. I mean, they redid the other ones, some of the other ones.
Yeah.
But Eberron was the only setting that Wizards of the Coast themselves made. Right?
Yep. Yeah, a Wizard of the Coast did. Eberron was their big search thing, and people like it. There's people that love it.
Yes. Lots of people like Eberron.
Yeah.
A lot of people like it because there was definitely power creep built in.
Yeah.
With the shifter. Holy crap.
Oh, Warforged. Oh, there you go. Jeffrey gives a pretty Garrison down there gives a good answer. Greyhawk, Forgotten Realms, Mystara, Eberron, all off limits to other publishers. Yeah, because they're afraid they'll do it better than WotC.
Oh, right. Well, you don't have to do anything with Greyhawk to make it better than WotC's stuff. Greyhawk was fine as is. Just enough. I mean, some people still felt that it was more than they want out of a campaign setting. It stepped all over their toes. But I think it offered just enough there for you to grab and make it your own without too much. Forgotten Realms, they were always printing something new about Forgotten Realms back in the second edition era.
Yeah, to be clear, so what Jeffrey's saying is they own the rights to all that.
Yes.
Even though Tim Scott's right 2 down, Eberron and Magic the Gathering settings are the only true WotC settings. Mm-hmm. Oh, didn't they count? What was that one dumb thing they did for 4E? The Ninterre Veil? But isn't that part of the Realms?
I don't know.
That's 4th edition.
I don't know about 4th edition. There might have been a setting or two during that.
I don't think that's even a topic, really, right? I don't think you're allowed to talk about 4th edition anymore.
You can repaint the Mona Lisa, but it's still the work of Leonardo da Vinci. Yes. True. You are correct. You are correct, Patrick. Or you're going to have to read this one. I can't.
Well, I'll just say all the effing WotC BS settings are written with 70 unkillable NPCs. Yeah.
Yes.
That was kind of the Realms problem.
Yeah.
Players said that. That's never bothered me. But, I mean, I just wouldn't use them.
Right. Well, the problem is there's so many high-level NPCs, but they still expect you to be solving all the problems. And I understand the whole that's below me kind of thing. But at the same time, when it comes to the big things too, that's your job, not ours. What are you doing? I'm researching something. But yeah. I'm not sure what you're talking about. You're muted.
Just nod and say yes.
Yes. Tim Scott, Jeff, they may
ISP.
They may own the rights, but I would never consider them being their settings.
Not their creative property, for sure.
But they own it, so everybody else has to suck it.
Yeah.
Bruce. Continuing off his previous comment, and everything is Deus Ex Machina, and your 17th level Archmage will never be as cool as the guys in the novels.
Truth.
Right. I mean, is your guy going to get become the Magister? I don't think so.
On this comment, I thought Eberron was written by some college kids. I think is Max joking? He knows it was written by Keith.
No, he says I may be wrong.
No, it was written by.
He could be saying that tongue in cheek, though.
Yeah. Okay, you make me grab my
Max is of Legion of Myth. I thought Eberron was written by some college kids and WotC bought it or hired them. I may be wrong. So either he's being facetious.
Probably facetious. Keith Baker. Yeah.
Keith Baker.
Yeah, he wanted content. I'm sure Max.
Or he was set in the Forgotten Realms. It could very well have been.
But that's my question. I think the Nintir Veil was a little subsetting, and I don't know. I didn't do 4E. That's true. Jeffrey Garrison's right.
So I think we finished the Hickman thing up pretty well.
We did. We should probably. Well, this setting stuff is fun though. I love talking.
It is, yeah. Some of the same people who worked at TSR were still on board when WotC published. There is overlap. That is true. That is true.
Bruce is apologizing. He doesn't have to. It's okay, bud.
Bruce, you write more profanity or else.
We need it. No, I was a little, my rant today was a little laced with an expletive or two.
Eberron was a setting entered into a contest WotC had. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
According to Darth.
Is that the guy who made the recent Mystara free PDF you could get?
Yeah, I think so. According to CBK PLYY. Interesting and very impenetrable naming convention you have there. Mr. Welch made a Mystara 5e setting book, which he released for free. And yeah, because he didn't trust WotC. He shouldn't. Eberron is a setting I absolutely ignored. Yeah, me pretty much too. I might actually have it.
I bought it because, I was a 3E fanboy, and I agree with that. They were saturated in magic. Everyone knows magic. Everything is magic because Eberron. Yep. Oh, I like Patrick's statement.
Nobody did 4E.
That was not a thing. Well, that's some truth there. How many people like that setting? Who liked that setting the best?
About a dozen people.
Yeah.
Jeffrey's calling for profanity in Elvish.
Okay.
And he's getting some agreement there, or maybe he's saying yes to something else. Colorful metaphors. Anyway, Tola's campaign had 2 extra adventures, which are part of the core campaign you should run your players through. It culminates completely through most of the book, and at the end of that first campaign, your players had a full tour of Tolas. They saw everything the city offers. More importantly, players were primed to go through another campaign in Tolas to focus the many campaigns in.
Look at Max. One up. Max bringing the statement.
Earth Dawn. Eberron is a ripoff of Earth Dawn. Yeah, that's supposed to be a drinking word. Oathbound 7, according to Powder Puff Nerd.
That's a small setting, right?
Yeah.
And not many folks played that, I bet.
It's a niche. The player character races are overpowered completely. But it's an interesting setting, an interesting premise.
Was it a 3-5?
Huh?
Was it a 3-5?
I think so. All the Mystara vids. Did Mr. Welch have some YouTube videos out? I wasn't aware of any of that.
Yeah, Patrick's a huge Earthdawn fan. He and Max would get along well there. And Joe was frozen.
So my new favorite setting, which is what, Tolas?
No, I think they were talking about maybe it was, Can I Have a Sip was your favorite setting. I'm missing the reference. Was it dang it, Mystara?
I tried to like Oathbound, according to Bruce. Well, I think Oathbound had a great premise.
Question. Oathbound and Oathbound 7. That's 2 different things, right?
Well, I think they are related.
Book search time. Hold on. Book search time.
Yeah. I think it was a product of a couple of people, or a particular DM's home game, and he thought it would be cool to make a book. And I still think the premise is cool. Um, some angels bound up a god. I think they thought that the god was out of control, and they decided to contain him. And in the process, they contained themselves. And then uh, the setting is about their prisons are a little leaky, so they can go try to grab people to come to um, their corner of the multiverse to help them escape their prison while putting the new people who they test through many trials into, they essentially bring adventurers to whatever the name of the setting is. I can't remember the name of the planet or plane or whatever it is. They bring them there, get them trained up, maybe make them very powerful, and they try to switch places with them so that they can escape their prison while still containing the out of control evil god. I believe that's the.
Is it Oathbound Domain of the Forge?
That sounds similar. That sounds familiar.
Okay. Cool. Okay, let's move on to our second and last topic here. Shall we?
Eclipse. We got some help there. The name of the Oathbound Seven's, I guess, plane or reality is called Eclipse. Anyway, yes, segment 3.
All right, so this is kind of a twofer episode, and this is something that Joe struck on last week just talking. It's the idea is, am I just too old for this game? So we're really going to switch gears here, folks. As we become well-cured gamers, older gamers,
well-seasoned,
is it, and when it comes to learning new games, complex games, for me, even different games, mainly RPGs, we can plow anything, does it become a chore? To me, I'm feeling a lot like most new games are a chore, and I just don't think it's worth it.
I understand what you're saying.
Yep. What do you think? I mean, is it just a function of being old?
I don't think it's a chore. I just with just limited time, so I have to choose something to do. And reading a giant game book a lot of times doesn't figure into it. Not that it's a chore necessarily to do, but it could be depending on how it's written and all that.
Yeah.
I work a lot. I have a wife. We have the podcast with you. Try to game. So in all of that, if I'm trying to read a brand new game book, it can be challenging to find the time to do that.
The last game book I read cover to cover, and I read it out of order, was 13th Age. That was it. I've read most of the new Suede, Savage Worlds Adventure Edition. I've read very little of the Deadlands. I've just been playing it from what I knew before. And I just think sometimes I just get turned off to trying to learn a new game, even though I love the idea. And you saw me, I buy new games. I just don't know if I'm going to be, I'm slowing down though with that too. Jeffrey Garrison makes a good point there.
Jeffrey,
yeah. Being older and wiser makes us, me at least, see the older stuff I love is just pure cringe now. It's harder to play and enjoy. See, the older stuff, I don't know. I guess I'm drawn to it now, but the stuff I know is what I want to stick with. And if I was going to go any direction, it wouldn't be forward with new games. It would be backward to the old games. That's kind of how I'm feeling. But I don't know.
In spirit.
Maybe more.
I understand what Jeffrey is saying when you look at the old rules. it's more like remembering some of the stuff I really had a hard time with. Not that it was hard to understand; it just was stupid. Like the grappling rules, some of the Sonics rules were kind of dumb. In concept, weapon versus armor and speed factor and all that makes sense to a degree, but at the same time, it makes combat a lot more complicated. And if you're a monk and you actually use weapon versus armor, you can't hit anything because you have huge penalties against anybody in metal armor. You're just not hurting them, which can make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Should they be able to go up to a knight in shining armor and punch him in the noggin and even hurt him? Maybe not, but it's just it's a fantasy game. So should the monk be able to hit very hard? In later editions, their hands became magic weapons, so maybe that should figure into it, but it never did.
Yeah.
Not for that edition, not for the early editions where that was the case.
Yeah. And I know that when I learn a new game, that's why I'm drawn to small games. When I see a thin book and someone say, and I know rules light can be kind of a bad word, but I do find it more palatable when there's not that many mechanics. When I see games like, AD&D first edition, second edition with all the rules, sometimes I'm like, ugh. Patrick, depends on upbringing and life experience, I think. Some of the draw of the old game stems from wanting to feel those good old days again when we really didn't care about all the world's BS. That's probably it, honestly. I probably like newer stuff. Yeah.
Right, Bruce. That's why the monk in the Pathfinder has a CMB and his victims have a CMD. Yeah. Monks in Pathfinder hit better because they don't have an in armor penalty, which was huge. It was huge in that. Oh, hey, Mr. Larry.
Mr. Larry showing up. Now, he's a perfect one for this question. He goes, I find being old and also new to games, it is challenging to learn. Larry, I'm going to spill some of the beans about you, bud. This is one of our homies, recent gaming converts the last couple of years, a Cabin Con attendee, a great addition to the group, a wonderful guy here in Michigan. He has just started playing D&D maybe 2 years ago. When I say D&D, I mean role-playing games.
Yeah.
He's taken to it like fish to water. But it is challenging. I mean, he's my age, and I can't imagine this hobby can be. I remember when I was younger, you try to teach someone new, and they can get overwhelmed if they saw the books laid out. So you just got to hand them a character and say, go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Larry. Really glad to have you, bud.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Remember to subscribe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think when I look back at the old games, I don't necessarily want to embrace the old rules, not all of them.
Right.
But it's more the feel, the dangerousness of adventuring. I really, and I know some people don't like them, but I love having the idea of acquiring for D&D characters, acquiring a keep, land, retainers, all that stuff. I want to have all that stuff. Maybe not every character have all the things, but I'd like that to be options to have in the game because they make it a lot more fun, I think.
And maybe not every NPC wanting to join your group, right, Joe?
Yeah. According to Bruce, I like the Rule Cyclopedia Weapon Mastery chart. Still one of the best charts to show how your progression means you will do more in combat. That's something I want in my perfect game. Sure. Something like that. Yes. I understand that.
Should we announce a little comment about Mudsword or not? The epiphany we had?
Oh, that we want to go a different direction?
Yeah, we're not throwing our current Mudsword version to the dogs per se. Yeah.
But it's going to go through a revision.
Yeah, pretty a big one. So I like Patrick's statement about Larry.
Larry's one unique thing from 13th Age was the best. I don't remember.
Oh, Caterpillar. Remember his character, Caterpillar?
No.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah. If Larry wants to share it, he can.
Yeah.
Oh, look at Tim Scott. I heard that from Mr. Phillip today, too.
Wherever I go, Cabin Con is with me. Yes, yes, Patrick. I feel the same way.
We got 4 more months, gentlemen.
It's not far off.
No. So.
Bruce, when I run a game, I try not to have the ultimate campaign show up in every table I run, but every game I run seems to deviate straight to Kingmaker rules after 5th level. Ultimate campaign? Not sure exactly. No, you're not trying to run your ultimate campaign whenever you run. You're just trying to run something fun. If it ends up being that, then it ends up being that. But yeah.
Fireball. Mm-hmm. Oh, we can share as one unique.
Sharing is caring.
So I don't know if you folks know 13th Age. You may not. It's a pretty story, namby-pamby indie game, but we do enjoy it. It's an easy sit down and play. If 4th edition had been 13th Age, I think more people would have liked 4th edition. Anyway, you have a thing called a one unique thing about your character, and it's not meant to be a power-up thing, but what Larry did, which was really cool, his one unique thing was that whenever his character Caterpillar would die, he would literally go into a magical cocoon, and he would come back out as a new character class. Larry would randomly roll on a chart and come back. He started as a ranger. Here's the hilarious thing. The one time he died, he came back as a ranger again. So,
that's funny.
Hilarious. He didn't get any benefits, and we were toying with how he could die permanently, but it was pretty fun. It was a pretty cool one unique. I mean, Larry,
that is pretty cool.
He hit that right out of the park. That was pretty awesome. So he was like, well, I'd like to play other classes, and this would be a chance for him to try all the classes. So that was
right.
So it didn't work out. He kept rolling ranger. So there you go.
Right. So as far as being too old, I look back. When I look back, like I was saying, is more for the feel, and the feel of old school was more sandboxy, as in, the game is open-ended.
Mm-hmm.
Adventuring is dangerous.
Yep, I missed that.
Yeah, I think that's the main point of the old play style is that adventuring is dangerous. You're not guaranteed to be the hero of the story. You might become, and you work toward becoming perhaps the hero of the story, or perhaps not. Maybe you're just doing some adventures that are only really important to you as a player or your party, right, or the local area. You may not be like some big earth-shaking hero. Even Conan was not, as far as I know, he didn't save the world.
He adventured for trade. He always talked about wanting money and gold in his own kingdom. I mean, your adventuring group doesn't have to be evil, but they can be pretty mercenary. Yeah, we're helping the town out because we're clearing out the we're clearing out the old ghost keep of Tower of Inverness. But dang it, we just want the treasure. We're not here to save the world. What's Bruce saying?
My old campaign years ago, the players had a charter. And they had rules where they had to sign off if they didn't want to be animated as a mule to carry stuff out of the dungeon. That's hilarious.
That is awesome. Oh.
Bruce is a railroader.
Yeah,
dirty baby. Railroader.
Getting Cal.
And it should. Hexcrawl is the only way to avoid becoming a pink-haired streamer.
Truth.
Jeffrey Grant Garrison. Bruce Lombarder loves a hex crawl. Conan would have been cooler if he hex crawled.
So, question on this. So, if it's not rules, it's probably not rules light, rules heavy for Joe. So it's more of a style of a game that keeps you, that draws you.
Yeah.
And to me, I think it's probably, I used to think it was rules light, rules heavy, but I think it's new versus familiar. If it's a brand new thing, I'm kind of like, that's why I'm drawn to even newer games like DCC and stuff. I'm like, well, at least it's fantasy. I understand the genre. Aliens, I know the movies. That's not nearly as intimidating as, hey, we're going to play Fallout, the RPG. And I'm like, and we want you to run it, Randy. And they tell me about it. I'm like, that sounds really cool. And the book this thick. And I'm like, ugh.
if you're doing convention style or like we do Cabin Con,
Yeah.
and you're wanting just something you could run a one-off on, rules light games are perfect for that. And doing something fun and interesting like Aliens was great for cons.
Yeah. And it's rules light.
Yeah.
If you think about it, I run 13th Age, Savage Worlds, and did Aliens last year. I tend to run rules light at Cabin Con because I don't want to have to work that hard at learning the quote unquote rules.
Right. Yeah, that's what those are good for. For a home game, I'm not huge on rules light, especially if I'm going to run it.
Right.
I get why people do, because we have busy lifestyles. You don't necessarily have time to learn rules or try to remember them, keep them straight. It's easier to run rules light games at the table and all that. So I understand.
Well, you're neither rules light. I think in a home campaign, player or DM, you like a little more meat in your game.
I do.
Yeah. Oh, Mr. Newman's going to do Fallout for us at Cabin Con. Okay.
Well, he said we'll leave it to Mr. Newman.
Okay.
So it doesn't necessarily mean he's doing it. It just means if we're going to have it, he'll probably do it.
Well, if you're listening, Mr. Newman, you're doing it. No excuses. Okay. So how about this, as old fellas? If I say, if we're someone, so we get a group of guys together. Oh yeah, Martinson's doing Aliens this year. That's cool. I might do one too. Martinson's got a pretty unique.
I'm sticking to my wife.
Yeah, but if someone says we're going to play one of these games, what is your initial reaction? This is me, and then I want to hear what you think. So the first one is Hackmaster, the newest edition.
Okay, let's do it.
I'd be like, ugh. That's the first thing I'd do.
Because if you're running it,
yes,
because you said, "Hey, let's play," that means you're running it,
right?
So I don't have to. I just have to make a character, and I'm going to show up. If I have to run Hackmaster, I might have to take like a week vacation from work just to be able to have the time to read the books because they're really thick. Yeah, I like a lot of Hackmaster 5e Bruce. I do.
Have you played it, Bruce? I mean, I think the books are beautiful, but man.
Cal, at some point, most of my painted monsters that can be allied hit the table and the players are scared.
Yeah. What about Aliens? I'm gonna run an Aliens campaign.
I'm down.
You're easy, dude. I'd be under Dread.
That's easy.
Yeah, but a campaign.
All you're doing is talk and pull out wood blocks. So that a campaign, I would be like, oh, a campaign, really? It wouldn't be from the point of view of that's too hard. It's more like, are we really going to try a Dread campaign?
Right.
That doesn't make any sense. It's not that. I don't think it's worthy of campaign play. It's an evening's diversion or some fun play at Cabin Con.
Oh, he's running Hackmaster, and your response, this is Jeffrey Garrison, is that you're making a character? Apparently is lethal.
It can be. It can be. So I probably have to amend that to say characters. And yeah, you probably do need to, because at some point in the game, you are going to have proteges, I believe. That's built in.
Oh, okay.
Bruce says he's played a couple of games of Hackmaster. The non-gamer friends I have love the initiative system. My gamer friends kind of died because they didn't enjoy wrapping their heads around the initiative. The initiative is something to get used to when you're used to turn-based, which is most games turn-based. Hackmaster initiative is you count off seconds. It's still kind of turn-based. You wait to go, but your turn is every second and of game time. Yeah. And all of the actions and spells and different things take X amount of seconds to perform. So once you do your initial, you roll your initial.
Look at Joe.
my ISP is in my way. You roll your initiative, you have your initial thing, and then depending on what you choose to do subsequently, it takes so many seconds afterwards.
Yeah.
And there are various character classes like fighters. As you level, you can reduce the amount of time it takes to make attacks. And I think that you can get what they call, I don't know what if they call it, I think it's mastery, but weapons, you can specialize in your weapons, and that takes away more time, so you get even faster with the weapons you're good at. So, and spells take so much time. I don't know that wizards can reduce that, but
yeah. Oh, Mr. Max Boyven says he'd like to try Dread. Oh, Patrick recalls our experience with Dread.
Yes, Martinson is great for one shots.
He ran a couple for us, yeah.
Yes.
That was good. That was a good time. You and Patrick played that.
Yeah.
Were you the jock? No, you were both chicks, weren't you?
I can't remember.
That was a good night.
It was fun. I just can't remember what I did.
Had a few drinks. One of our buddies seemed to get better with the Jenga Tower. It just takes some practice, Mr. Boivin. It's not bad.
Baron G Rock. I was wondering where you were at.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why you just got it. After I put it up about 3 or 4 hours prior. I saw it in the channel on a different account. So I know it's YouTube. They're not. I don't think that they're all that reliable. They probably have their network is probably oversubscribed, or the internet in general maybe oversubscribed.
I love that idea comment. Oh yeah, Jeff and Patrick with the ladies. I like Bruce's comment above that. I like the idea of rolling initiative once, but I have enjoyed the flow of combat when we roll every round. But all this, again, a simplicity thing. There's my cat Pippin. She just can't.
I think I've come up, and I don't think it's unique. I got it from Max, the idea.
Yeah.
What I like about the Hackmaster initiative system is it seems to be more dynamic, because once you get past that first roll, when your position in initiative or the time that your action goes off is dependent on the action. You're not waiting around the table for your turn. You kind of are, but it's not necessarily the same position every time you go around the table.
Right.
It's a little bit more dynamic, but I think you can simulate that with more typical initiative systems by just having a reroll. You just reroll.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really that's the main draw to me for that initiative system, is this dynamic quality. But with a regular D&D initiative, if you just re-roll every round, you might, on top of that, add some sort of what Max calls a momentum thing, where depending on what you do, if you hit, you might get a bonus on the next roll for initiative. If you are hit, maybe you get a penalty. There might be some way to keep it even more dynamic, instead of being so once you roll, you're stuck and you just got to wait, and you got to wait, which can be a little boring.
Yeah. I was thinking too, maybe just my desire or frustration with learning new games. Maybe it's just a function of how life has been tough for a lot of folks the last 2 years. We've all had our tough times over the COVID and the other issues. And maybe it's just a matter of that. I just get weary trying to learn new stuff, and my mind just wants to relax. So that could be it too. And Pippin is talking to everybody. I don't know if you're hearing her meow. She's got quite a little trill.
Yeah, I just heard it.
Yeah.
So according to Baron G Rock, I've been doing some stuff on my other channel. LOL.
What? He does other stuff besides talk to us?
Apparently.
Golly. So, you think it's all bullcrap and I just need to learn all the games and that's all there is to it?
No, I mean, whether you think it's because of your age but yeah, suck it up.
Just get over it, dude.
Get over it. What? We are the age we are, so you might be assigning.
Hello,
ISP.
drink, people.
But you might be assigning it to your age, but it might just be a function of our busy lifestyles.
Hey, Patrick's cats representing. Heard Pippin's meow, and Mordenkainen's just said, "Hey, what's up?
What's up?"
She's a female. He's a dude. Let it happen."
Well, it's gonna take a little effort to do that through the internet, and we'll have to fade to black. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, it's. I think it's less a function of age, but it might be part of it. It's more a function, I think, of time.
Yeah.
If you had more time on you, let's say you were retired.
Yes, let's say I do.
And you had in those 8 hours a day or more, you could do other stuff. You would have a lot more time to devote to gaming, or at least reading your books.
Yeah, buddy.
So that it would be less. It would feel less like a chore, I think.
Right. Yep. True. All right. Cool. Any other comments on? Am I just too old for this game, or what?
Not really. There's a lot of Hackmaster talk from Bruce.
Yeah, Bruce is down Hackmaster.
Hackmaster rewards magic missile, dagger stabs, and dart throwers. Yeah, because they're real fast. But I think a fighter with a long sword, once they've mastered it to a certain point, and just level, it'll get down in speed to where it competes with those things eventually. I don't know how long it'll take. I didn't do the math on that, but they're not that slow. High level spells, though, they can take some time.
Yeah. Jeffrey Garrison points out the pain in the rear of weapon speed, but Bruce says he's cool with that because he loves the. Should have been a tax accountant. We never played with. We toyed with weapon speed and spell. Yeah, Cal doesn't. I don't blame you, dude. But I don't know. I would. Yeah, we never played with weapon speed or we toyed with all of it, and very quickly we're like, that's just too much to keep track of. We're out. But we were young then too.
Right. And to be honest, when we first played, we didn't even read most of the rules.
No,
flew by the seat of our pants.
Yeah, pretty much. I was winging everything.
And then I started reading the books.
That was great. I remember that clearly. Joe's like, I was reading the book. That's not how that works. I'm like, what? That's how I'm doing it. That's how I'm doing it. Mm-hmm. That was my response most of the time. That's how
I do it.
Yes. I can't help if the book's wrong, Joe.
Right. And there is a now infamous interplay where your character killed one of my characters illegally with a touch spell.
Yeah, at range.
Cast at range.
Harm.
Yeah.
Bruce had a big sale today. Good for you, buddy. Add-on services.
Oh, those are nice. Oh, wow. I hate when it does that. I sold $3,000 of septic and add-on services for work today.
Your boss is not going to let you go, Bruce. Sorry. You're going to be chained to that, selling that kind of stuff.
Did you get a piece of that action, or did you just have to give it all up to the boss?
You just get an attaboy.
That's what happens at the post office. We get a business to make some kind of get a sale at a business. We don't get any of that.
I think Patrick might be right.
Randy, you're somewhere between they don't make tables like they used to and yelling at the pink-haired Critical Role junkies to get the hell off your lawn. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm to the point where I'm only going to make fun. It takes too much energy to be mad at those guys because they're all over the place. Well, if you're on Twitter, they seem to be behind every nook and cranny. But and if you pay attention to Witches of the Coast and Paizo, it seems like that's the whole hobby now. But I don't think that it is. I think they're just fodder for making fun of. It absolutely is not worth being mad at anymore.
Absolutely agree with Jeffrey Garrison right below Patrick. Dig that. That's a perfect statement.
The other thing about being old is we have more ideas and less time to implement. Yes.
Oh, so does Darthea. He's bringing it in.
I really only started DMing about 6 years ago. The learning curve for the DM compared to the player is huge. There are so many more rules the DM needs to know. It makes it scary to learn new games.
A lot of work. Yeah, especially the big thick ones. And to Jeffrey, I agree. Joe and I are all times. He's the worst for this. I had an idea, and he'll tell me a really cool idea, and he'll say, "But worse than this. This is where he's old. I had a great idea for how we could speed up combat." I'm like, how? He goes, I forgot. I didn't write it down. I love that. Darthiek's right. That's part of the deal. When you read those big books, you're like, oh, man. Yes. Good job, Tim Scott.
Bloodlust. Tim Scott, my 11-year-old, learned Randy's bloodlust for PCs. He wiped us out again Sunday.
That's my dude.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, TPK.
That's what I'm talking about.
Or did he get your permission first?
Yes. Was it written? Did you agree to that at session 0, Tim?
Yeah. Did any of you need any pillows and coloring books to recover from the TPK? I feel you probably did. All right. Mr. Max Bovin.
Yep.
Has the feel of the room.
Yes.
Got to bounce, guys. Have a good evening. It is probably a good time to roll as well. We are past the 2-hour mark.
Oh, we are. Yeah, guys. It's getting close.
And I have to work in the morning.
Well,
I have to get my dogs out.
Yep. If you'd like to support our show, then please visit the many places you can find us. Our website at biggestgeekestpodcast.com. You can click on the support tab. Send us your money. We like your money. You can check us out at Twitter, mainly Joe. He'll make people mad, and you can watch it. It'll be fun. Facebook, MeWe, Odyssey, of course, YouTube, and this stream. We're enjoying this. Email the geeks at biggestgeekspodcast.com. Share it with your friends. Let them know about it. Please join us. We loved having everybody tonight. I'm really getting used to this. It's a little bit different than the standard podcast we've been doing, but I love chatting with everybody. You guys are super cool. I love your comments. It makes the time really fly. So I'm really enjoying this.
Well, we had a 15 on the stream.
Sweet. That's fun. Good deal.
Just imagine having a ton more. We won't be able to keep up.
No, we're going to have to just try to hit the highlights when we can. They can talk to each other.
By the time it's that big, we'll have to do super chats, and that'll be it.
Super chats. Got to pay us a nickel to press the forward. All right. Well, this is Randy.
Oh well, one moment. Back it up. Back that thing up.
It's not Randy.
No. So the subscriber drive is still alive. We are at 132 on YouTube. The next giveaway is at 250. If you want what is on Randy's shelf, then help us get there.
Yeah, I got some stuff.
Yeah, and 300 is also a good one. Not that we're going to do a giveaway at 300, but we'll be able to automatically get our videos from YouTube to Odyssey, so we'll have a backup. Also, if you have a suggestion for some specific prize that is not on his shelf, let us know. We have our email listed, and that we're all over the place in our Discord, which I will have listed this time.
Cal says, which shelf? I should scan them. I'm willing to consider any shelf, but not my Planescape stuff. Ain't nobody getting that. Oh, look at Bruce, 380 subscribers, you lucky duck.
You've been curating it. If you want the prize to be more valuable, whether or not we get it off of Randy's shelf, you can contribute financially to help us get better prizes. Mm-hmm. Or you can convince somebody else to give us money. We don't care whether you do or somebody else does.
What is on Randy's shelf? I should really put that out there, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Cal has all the minis for Planescape. Oh, dude. You talking metals? The old metals, Cal?
We're going to have to do some internet trickery to find out where you live.
Yeah, I got to come steal your stuff, dude. That's sweet.
If you think
the
the show isn't worth a financial contribution, then let us know, especially if you have a suggestion for us that will help us to make it worth your money.
Oh, Patrick and Bruce have good ideas. Randy should do a shelfie photo, and I should make it a segment. What's on Randy's shelf? I should do that.
Sure.
Need to. And then I should add I'm going to. That's going to happen because I want to do a review. Old school. I was kind of inspired. There's one called Radio Borderlands and a few others. They do old school reviews. There's a vintage RPG, and they will review old products. And so I think I'm going to do that. Oh, Cal has the medal. Much jealousy is rising.
So some commentary. If you're going to do a shelfie, you're going to have better lighting.
I gotta have light in the house.
You got to be able to let the folks see what you're talking about.
Yes.
And your current lighting, frankly, sucks eggs.
Tim said that could be a T-shirt. What's on Randy's shelf? Well, my shelves are about to get totally rejiggered the next 3 days.
Right.
Moving my gaming room to the other end of the house, so that's going to be a chore. So,
all right.
Ready to bug out of here?
Yes.
All right. Well, this is Randy.
And I'm Joe.
And remember, if you can't be big like us, be geeks like us.